We're here with Francois Parisien, 2005 National Road Race Champ and one of the few Canadians to ever win at the World Tour level. Frank, you recently announced your retirement from pro cycling. What were some of the key factors influencing this decision?
The first one is that I was starting not having as much fun than I used to. When I came back from my trip, in Canada for national championship, then I came here, regrouped, started training again, and then went back to Europe, and then I realized that racing on the Pro Tour, unless you're a big name, unless you're a leader, you're never going to be treated as well as you should be, I think. And of course, it could be different in other teams. If you talk to other riders, I'm sure they've been treating well the whole time. But on my side, it was a big blow to see how the Pro Tour was working. And after achieving my goal of winning a World Tour race, I really thought I was going to get more recognition from the team, and of course I've had more recognition from the peloton itself and the guys, but at the end of the line, my salary and my contract was not going to be where I think it should have been, and then I talked to my agent, and I told them, listen, this team, you're going to call them and you're going to tell them I don't want to race for them next year and that we're done, and then as far as the other team and my contract for next year, here is the minimum that I would be willing to race for, and if not, then we'll be retiring. So that's pretty much the story. On top of that, being away for so long, being away for many years, I would say on 18 years, I've been away since I'm a junior, so I've done a lot, and I was starting to miss the past few years, it's starting to miss my family, realizing that, I've missed a lot of things get together, like, the 50 years anniversary of my dad, my mom, 25 anniversary of marriage of my parents.
Okay.
I missed a bunch of marriage, and that was getting more and more heavy in the balance. So one more thing is I was missing my girlfriend a lot, and she didn't put any pressure, and she was supporting me 100%, and of course she would have stayed with me and support me for a few more years. She really thought that I was going to keep going until 35 years old, maybe. And she was fine with it, but for me, there was just one more thing to add in the balance on the retiring side.
Well, it's got to be tough. It's got to be hard on everything, like you said, family, friends, girlfriend. I mean, plus, you're not really at home.
No, definitely. Every time that you're away, of course, I'm well supported by a lot of friends. Most of the time, I was well supported by a team, amateur team. Spider Tech was awesome. But you're never home. I've got my house in Beaumont for 5 years now, and I think I've been there 1 year total, if you count the days, I have my house for 5 years now, and I've been there for a really short time, really. So it's all little things, and I was really starting to miss Quebec in Canada. Because when you're young, it's all nice to travel, it's all nice to discover new countries, new culture, and all that. But once you've been there, once you've done it, and not just one time, multiple times, I've done American team, French team, Netherlands, and meet with a lot of Dutch guy and all nationalities in Europe, basically. And Canada, we're so different. When I got 29, 30 years old, then I really started to consider that. It's like, oh, well, I'm missing that. I'm missing the whole culture part, I'm missing my own culture, and you're never home, so...
It's understandable, yeah. Well, Frank, in 2001, I think that's when you started to break into the scene a little bit. Won gold at the Canada Games. 2005, then you were Canadian road champion. When did you start cycling?
I started when I was so I think I was around maybe 14. I was a soccer player before, but I was going really slowly. I've always been small, and to run fast, you got to be pretty tall. And on top of that, soccer, when you get to a certain level, I was getting close to the Quebec team level, and we were battling for that. And you had like a championship, to get selected and all that. And I was starting to get some elbow in the face and all that. I didn't really like that part. So, and at the same time, at the very same time, I met a guy named and him and his dad cycling, and basically they moved. They were my new neighbors. They just moved by my house, and we're in the same class, and we were close friends. And I started to follow him in races, and then at one point I was like, well, maybe I'd like to try. And all my friends were starting to do that, so I jumped into cycling and let soccer go away.
Well, we're glad that you did that. Now, you've had some high points in your career, some low points. A couple of years ago, I mean, you became vocal about speaking about how you were going through a bit of a slump. You were a little bit depressed. At what point were you re-inspired, and how?
It depends which one of those points you're talking about. If you're talking about my depression, I start to feel better once we find out what I had. And basically, I started to feel better when I met Paulo Saldana, and I really started to work intensively with him. I was driving from Bromont to the Premier Studio, the Parawatz Premier Studio in Saint-Henri. I was driving 4 times a week.
Okay.
Over there, and sometime he has a house in Dunham, and sometime, I was meeting him in Dunham, and so he really helped me meeting the right people, talking to the right people, find what my problem was, and from that point on, I really started to like what I was doing. I always loved what I was doing. It's just that it was so hard to maybe think that I had to retire. I was so close on retiring there because we didn't know what was the problem with my knee, and it was by far my worst knee injuries, and God knows I had tons of knee injury. I always went over it. I always went through it and fight it, but this one was really a hard one, and I couldn't do it by myself. And 29 years old, I was getting really tough, and I really thought that I had to stop cycling. So that's where I went into a depression there, and really Paulo and Parawatz really helped me to go through it and fight it, and I came out pretty strongly, I think.
Oh yeah, you did, for sure. I mean, a few years ago, would you have believed that you could win at the World Tour level?
No, not at all. Not at all. No, that's definitely an easy answer. But on top of having more support with Parawatz, and on top of being more motivated and putting the right effort at the right place, at the same time, cycling was slowly changing, and there was less and less doping, and I think it's not just a coincidence that I started to perform better and better through the end of my career. It's just that I've always been a really strong and good guy on the bike, and I think that having less doping in the peloton just made me I was able to perform more often,
Well, you've been quite outspoken about, doping and dopers and all that. Does it make winning at the World Tour level that much more special?
Definitely. I mean, when I crossed the line, I was ecstatic. I was like, I was so happy. But like once I got behind the scene, like behind the podium wall, they bring you to that podium and then your wait until they call you behind the podium, and I was crying there just before I got on the podium. As I was just like, wow. And the pressure went down, and I was running after that win. I was winning. I was waiting after that big result for a long time, and I was going well for about 1 year. I was doing really well there. The whole starting the season and the classic were coming, and I've put a lot of pressure on myself, and I've always been putting a lot of pressure on myself, and it was finally my time that day, and it was by far my best memory ever in cycling.
I can't even imagine the excitement because, this is like the pinnacle. You train so hard and, 18 years of work. And, every cyclist dreams of winning at that level. There's not many Canadians who have done it. and you pulled it off quite nicely. So, I mean, at that moment, I can't even imagine the euphoria, you know, like it must have been something incredible. And on top of it all, you know, with a lot of doping allegations, a lot of them even close to home, I'm sure there were a lot of people in that peloton that, as a clean athlete, to come across and win that race, you know, had to be something incredible.
It is incredible, but that doesn't justify the other bunch of assholes that do dope and cheat to go on a fast track instead of making the right choices. Because there is plenty of athletes that never was able to perform at that level, and it was even worse the generation right before me.
Okay.
You know, if you think about guys, think about Mathieu Toulouse. You know, he was on the national team. He was riding against Ryder at that time, and Seamus McGrath. Like, I can't imagine what his career would have been like without these assholes. You know, so it doesn't. Yeah, of course it's nice and it's good to prove to yourself that you're able to do it, but it doesn't justify that these people still have recognition and these people still have a job right now. And look at the market right now. Plenty of guys are going out of job. Plenty of clean guys are having to quit because they can't find a job because there's still a big bunch of dopers and guys that cheated that are still in the peloton. And in my sense, these guys shouldn't be there anymore. The guys that always have done the right choices should be number one to be picked up. And then if they're still placed, then the guys who come forward and tell that they were doping and they said the whole truth, honestly, not just a little part, like some riders have done recently, but telling the whole truth about the whole career, then maybe we can start considering these guys. But it's just terrible that guys are going out of job, guys that have making the right choices from the beginning and have always done the right choices, have to go away from the sport at the moment. It's terrible. It's a disaster. It's a big failure from the UCI.
It's definitely unfortunate, but I mean, as you said, you know, the sport is slowly cleaning up. How widespread do you think doping still is in the sport?
I remember when I was younger, they were saying that during the Tour de France, you know, it would be an easy guess to say that in the late 90s, you know, 85% of the peloton during the Tour de France was doping, and I think with what came out these last few years, it's easy to agree with that number. I would say that now the change is really drastic. I would say that there's maybe 10, maybe 15% of guys that still dope, and the reason why I say that is because there's still guys getting caught.
Right.
So you cannot deny that guys don't dope anymore. Guys are still getting caught, and guys are still cheating. And but to say that the majority of the peloton is doping like it was before, no, it's not true anymore. And that's the reason I think why young guys that are clean guys, you know, young Canadian athletes are performing at the moment, and are finding a job on the Pro Tour. It would have been impossible just 5-10 years ago. 8 years ago would have been completely impossible.
Good news to hear from someone like yourself who's an insider. Good to know that the sport is cleaning up. Now with Cookson at the head of the UCI, do you think that he's the man to fix and restore the integrity for cycling?
I think it's a good move to get rid of the corruption that McQuay and Van Bruggen brought to the UCI.
Right.
I think it was a good thing. No matter who was going to replace these guys, I think it was a good thing anyway. What I would say, though, is I really hope that this guy comes forward with a lifetime ban at some point. They already made a good step forward with doubling the offense from 2 years to 4 years suspension. But in my sense, for the big doping products like EPO, growth hormone, blood transfusion, these products, you cannot find that in your system just by eating freaking cow meat or whatever, you know. I'm a big fan of the lifetime ban for those products.
There's no ambiguity there. If you have those products in your system, you didn't get them there accidentally.
Yeah, that's what I believe, and that's why it should be lifetime ban. Because at the moment, everybody is informed, and it's too much. It should be over. I mean, it's been like that for years and years now. Nobody can know, like, oh, you know, I got intimidation, you know, I had to do it to be part of the team, and that's all bullshit now. Everybody knows the story. Everybody's well informed about it.
Okay.
And if you have that in your system, you should be out of the sport and out of any sport forever. That's what I believe. Coach done the few steps that he didn't make. He made a few steps forward, making it more difficult for the dopers. It's a good step forward, but in my mind, it's not enough. But, you know, it's a good sign, I think.
Definitely. Frank, what would you say to up-and-coming cyclists? What words of advice would you give anyone involved in cycling right now who's moving up through the junior ranks, let's say, and is looking at a career in cycling?
I would say work hard, work harder, don't give up, and follow your dreams. Good
advice. Frank, thanks for spending time with us. Congratulations on a fabulous career, and good luck with any future projects. I heard a little bit that you are going to be working with Power Watts, is that right?
Yeah, I'm going to be starting to work sometime in December, and right now I'm trying to set up my new apartment close to that studio, so I can try. I don't have to travel that much from Beaumont, so yeah, I'm really excited about that, and there's a lot of good opportunity for me to give back to the people that already gave so much to me.
Any chance we might see you in some local races?
Definitely. You'll see me at most of the machines, the Quebec races and Quebec road races, maybe a bit of mountain bike races. I don't know. I'll be on a bike, that's for sure.
Oh, excellent. Good to hear. Congratulations again, and look forward to seeing you on the bike, and good luck with any of your future projects. You've always been a class act, good following your career. Now that you've announced your retirement, we wish you the best of luck. We look forward to still seeing you on a bike.
Well, thank you very much. It was